Hi, I'm Daniel Alford, and I'm here to support the Foster Foundation to talk about my daughter Heather and the things that took place in her life that caused it to end so tragically, and I hope that no other kids have to go through the kind of things that she did and had to endure for her short lifespan. Heather was born in Jasper, Texas, and I wasn't there the day she was born because there was some unfounded paternity issues, as it turned out, and I missed a lot of things of her life, unfortunately, and that's probably one of the biggest regrets I have in my life, because I think as a father I should have been there to protect my daughter, and that's why I'm here to talk about the things that took place to her, so that other parents and people won't have to live with those kind of regrets in their lives. Heather had to endure a lot from a very early age. It was brought to my attention by her mother, actually. Heather was almost 6 by the time that her mother confessed to me that her first husband had touched Heather inappropriately, and had waited until after I had been up and had spent a week visiting with Heather and them, spending her birthday. I would have went back to where I was residing at in the state of Florida, and then waited another week after that and called me to tell me that that's actually the reason why they had separated and divorced. And I asked her, why didn't you tell me this while I was up visiting? And she politely said, because we were just way too close to the state of Texas. She just figured I would go do something stupid, but she's right, I would have. I miss my daughter. It's been 13 years, but it hurts just as much today. So, in Heather's situation, there were people that had seen things along the way, had suspicions. Heather had only went to one public school in her life, and that was just for the kindergarten. And this, where this photograph was taken, was her kindergarten year of school, because once the abuse started taking place, her mother pulled her out, claimed to go homeschool her. I had no idea if any lessons was ever given to her, but it was to protect those that were causing the abuse. It was teachers, principals, and those in that type of authoritative position are supposed to report. You know, they sign a, you know, it's a contract, you know, with them. But there were neighbors, there was family members, all of which, after her passing, well, I suspected something. And my first question was, why didn't you speak up? There was a family member that had suspected and talked to my ex, my daughter's mother, about things going on, and was sworn that if she reported anything, that more severe abuse would take place, and was told, you know, begged and pleaded not to say anything. And then, of course, after my daughter's passing, comes to me and said, well, yeah, I saw him, and I should have said something. Well, I don't know what to say to when somebody tells me something like that, other than, you know, I really wish you had spoke up. And that's one of the other reasons, or one of the main reasons I'm here to talk about the things that took place in my daughter, you know, well, to my daughter and in her life, was I want people to speak up. Our children are our future. And grandparents and parents, and a parent should never have to bury their child. I mean, I realize that there's diseases in this world that will take a child, you know, at an early age. Some things just cannot be prevented, but all abuse can be. And I firmly believe that, you know, all types of abuse is very easily prevented, and those that are doing it need to be stopped. I mean, how can you just look into a face like this and cause it pain? I don't know about most people in this world, but I can't do it. I mean, it's one thing to take away a phone, some video games, go stand in the corner for a couple of hours, you know, but to look into a face like this and cause it injury, I don't understand how somebody can do it.
So Daniel, what happened to your daughter Heather?
A man came into my ex and my daughter's life that I found out had a history of abuse prior to that had been denied, and my daughter's mother allowed this man, and according to the DA's office, she participated in different forms of abuse to my daughter. She had been severely beaten by a leather rifle strap that had the back of her legs and buttocks just one big wound, like just a scabbed over wound, just from the right above the knee all the way up onto her butt, just raw. And it used a board from multiple beatings had caused all of this. Her cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head that had caused swelling to the brain that had eventually caused her to start passing out, and that's actually how I got notified when she had passed out, and they waited thinking she would come around and didn't, and they eventually called for an ambulance, and when she was placed into the ambulance en route to the hospital, the medics called ahead because they recognized what had taken place and had the police waiting when they arrived at the hospital. And during the ongoing investigation, because she spent 3 days in a pediatric ICU where the doctors was trying everything that they could, which to no avail, you know, to save her. But those two never once had another day of freedom in their life. They were arrested the evening that she went to the hospital, which was December 12th of 1999, and 3 days later at 8 p.m. in the evening, they disconnected the machines that was keeping my daughter alive on December the 15th, 13 years ago. And I was standing at the foot of the bed as I did it.
How old was she?
She was 6 years old. She would have turned 7 on December 23rd of that year. And some of the hardest things I ever had to endure was going to the court cases, the hearings along the way leading up to the main trial, as the defense attorneys tried to come up with all these reasons and excuses, and most of which the judges were denied them. They'll listen to what they had to say, listen to what the prosecution had to say, and then just handed down a verdict on it. And when this man went to trial, I listened to the open arguments, and the district attorney did not want me to sit in the classroom, in the courtroom for the entire court case, because he planned on having me testify at some point, and he didn't want me to hear everything else. So I stayed outside, but I wasn't leaving. And eventually, he finally told me that he wasn't going to put me on the stand, that he would allow me back in. And it was actually after the guilty verdict had been handed down. So I was in the courtroom when they were trying to come up with what sentence this man was going to receive. And they were handed out pictures, like just as they had done in the original trial. And one picture that got handed out, the coroner was on the stand that had performed the autopsy on my daughter. And you could just see the faces of those in the jury. They pretty much had their minds made up about things, that they were just going through something they had to for judicial duty, but they knew, I think they already knew in their mind what kind of sentence they was going to hand down. But the prosecuting attorney asked them, asked the coroner, what's in this picture? And of course he had seen the picture before he handed it over, so he knew what he was talking about. And it was some bruises around my daughter's ankles. And he asked him, well, what caused these bruises? And it was her own 2 little hands. And then, this particular portion of the trial, they're allowed to give an opinion, not just all straight medical facts. So he asked him, well, just how much pain, in your opinion, doctor, how much pain would a 6-year-old have to be to squeeze their own ankles hard enough to bruise them? And the coroner said, that pain is indescribable. I mean, because the average person, adults, don't even squeeze any portion of their own body hard enough to bruise it with their own handprints. And to think a 6-year-old done this, and to know that, at 6 years old, that she had been sexually molested front, forward, and backwards, as well as beaten so severely. I don't know to which one of those was actually taking place at the time, because this was all being done by a grown man. This man was in his 30s that was doing this to a 6-year-old. So I have no idea to what extent or what he was doing to her at the time, but I can only imagine. But to imagine the pain that she was going through to do that to her own body. I mean, I miss my daughter severely every day.
So Daniel, what happened to the people that perpetrated these injustices against Heather?
Well, my daughter's mother is serving a life sentence at the Women's Correctional Facility at St. Gabriel, Louisiana. And her sentence is to serve the rest of her natural-born days without benefit of parole, probation, or suspension of sentence. And her attorney had got her to plead guilty. So she pled guilty to get that sentence. So there wasn't no trial or anything. So I can only know by what the district attorney's office had told me, that there was more than sufficient enough evidence to say that she was involved in the things that took place to my daughter. But to hear it out in court, it was never done. Her boyfriend at the time is on death row. I believe he is still waiting for a couple of things to take place, and one of them is, of course, for the governor to sign his execution order. But he is at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. And like I said, just as far as I know, he's still waiting for execution by lethal injection. I could think of a lot more severe ways for this man to be punished, and as could most people put in my position, but that's the one that was handed down by the jury and the judge in his case. And one day, it'll be carried out.
Have you talked to either of them since the sentencing?
The only one that I've had face-to-face conversation with was my ex, my daughter's mother. She had been brought up to Menden for one of those post-conviction relief hearings, and she had accused her attorney basically of not trying to do his job. So she was held over for about a month till they could set a date, a real hearing date, and the judge had arranged for her attorney, actually, sent that attorney a subpoena so he could come and defend himself against these accusations. And during that time, I went to visit her in the parish jail. And it was a conversation took place through a set of bars with 20 other female prisoners in the in the same room. So it wasn't a very lengthy conversation, but she had told me that her brother, who had just been arrested for child molestation, was the reason why she had moved out of their house, which is where she had been staying on a visit that I had come, and she had suspected that her brother had touched my daughter that way, which she had told me back when we were dating, that because her brother was about 10 years older than her, had molested her when they were growing up. And I was just thinking, well, there's a pattern here, and it's obviously, twisted in the mind. But when I asked her if that was the reason why she moved out of his house, she just hung her head. I said, that's what I thought. I said, once again, you failed to tell me about something when that it took place to my daughter, and you failed her. You failed her by just divorcing your first husband. You failed her by not having your brother arrested. And she failed her again by allowing another man to hurt her and eventually cause her to pass.
Why do you think she didn't protect her?
That's a question only she could answer. I wish I knew.
we're having somebody stay here, because that was really,
talking with Connie, and because usually and normally don't bring out the drum very much in public, because we do a lot of what we do ceremoniously, and we want to protect it, respect it. It honors us, it blesses us. We look at everything, what we do has a spirit to it. And I take what the responsibilities have been given to me, and I share it with the kids where I work at Riverside Indian School. As I said earlier, we have about 500 students from several different states. And there has been a lot of kids that has been sexually abused, they're homeless, they're living in poverty, they've been influenced by the gang culture, there's drug use, there's alcohol use in their families, some are without parents, their parents are deceased as a result of alcohol abuse, some of their parents are incarcerated, and these kids all struggle in different ways. And my position as a therapist at the school is to be able to help these kids sort out some of their issues through different approaches. When Connie was talking about some alternative approaches to healing, and I was thinking, we don't do alternative healing. When I take the Western approach to counseling, that's alternative for me. So what we attempt to do with the kids, at times we set up a teepee, we build a fire in there, try to invite some singers, some of the young men that come and sing. They're in the teepee with us. I bring the drum as well. And then we sing songs of healing, because some of these kids have been hurt in so many different ways. And what happens is that we as Native people have had this connection to Mother Earth, to nature, to all the animals, to the birds, to the universe. We're all a part of it. And I can't remember which medicine man said it at one time some years ago, but he said that we are going forward in a world that's going backwards. So these are some of the strengths that I try to share with the kids, that they find their own inner strength through culture. Not all the students believe this way. Many are young Christians, and that's okay. And some are traditionalists, which follows this path. And so I had to be gentle in presenting this to someone maybe for the very first time. One of the other ceremonies that we do at the school is called the sweat lodge ceremony. And anytime that we're requested to do a ceremony in some way, this is normally the payment, tobacco. No money, don't charge to do this, because this is something that has been presented to us from the Creator. And Connie presented this tobacco to me tonight, or last night, so that I could bring the drum out and bring it here to Lawton. I grew up in the Lawton area. I lived out by Medicine Park all my life. I went to school at Elgin High School. Elgin L, so proud of that school for so many years. And moved to Anadarko and been at Riverside for the last 10 years. I brought my eagle whistle. Eagle whistle is very sacred, and it's used to help in our ceremonies. It has a spirit itself. It's just as if this was a live eagle that I'm holding. I respect it in that way. And that it comes and it helps the kids when we're in the ceremonies. So we'll go ahead and get started with some songs here.
Okay, one thing I do want to point out is we were going to bring the big powwow drum. It's a big, 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 wide drum. That's what a lot of people acquaint natives is with powwow. And that drum also brings happiness and healing to many people in a socialized way. Sometimes people will go to powwows and just love to sit there and hear the beautiful songs. Because there's so many songs of healing for the veterans, memorial songs, war dance songs, gourd dance here. So I want you all to understand that there are two different types of drums. In Oklahoma, women are forbidden to touch the drum. But since I come out of the north, I rock out of the north, since it's Native American month, I've been rocking my mocks, and we are allowed to use the drum. But I respect Oklahoma ways, so I won't pick up the drum. But so, I know Teresa understands the powwow drum, but there was just no way we were gonna load it this morning. He said, no.
It's pretty big. It would want to bring that.
Gigantic. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
What I do is call the four directions. The powers of the universe, they all have different teachings. And then what I ask is that the powers that come help teach us, teach the kids that we do ceremonies for, or if people are ill, sometimes they come to the house and ask for help too, in this way. So we call this way, and I don't ever mean to disrespect anybody's belief, and this is why, like I said, we keep it within ourselves, so to speak, and not take it out and interfere in anybody else's life and their thinking and their way of life and their religion and stuff like that. So, but just want to blow the eagle whistle, and I'll get started with these songs here. And I want to blow it to the south there, to these what we call the grandfathers from the south, and they come and help. And, this is where we get our warm air, summer air, and the winds that come this way, and they help us. And then I'll blow to the west, to these grandfathers from the west there, because that's where the thunder beams come from. That's where the thunderstorms come from. When this lightning comes, when these thunders come, that's what they say are the horses are running and they're banging, and you hear that sound of thunder. And we thank them for being here and helping us in this way. They bring good rain for us. And then to the north, we look at our grandfathers, our elders, just like that snow is all white, they have gray hair, and they bring that strength, and we know how that when those cold fronts come in, they're real strong and they're real powerful. And they make us stronger as human beings. And then to the east, when there's new beginnings come in our lives there, we look for a good road to follow along. I always tell those kids to stay on this good road, stay on the red road there, that path. Don't get involved in alcohol, don't get involved in drugs, you know. Don't get involved with the gangs, and those kids that are thinking about suicide, always try to help them the best way we can, because I've come to learn through the years that suicide is a spirit itself, and that it takes a lot of lives. And we have a lot of kids that have lost loved ones as a result of suicide. Young kids back home on the reservations. So blow the eagle whistle in that way, and when we do our ceremonies, and then you can imagine yourself, envision yourself in the sweat lodge ceremony. It's all dark inside there. It's total darkness. The sweat lodge is made out of, I use 20 willows, and it's shaped like a dome. Shaped like this configuration. It's covered with canvas, and it's totally dark in there. And we heat our rocks up when we bring them inside there, and put cedar on the rocks, and then makes the kids, oh, it's so good. We use these medicines like the sweetgrass, the sage, and the cedar to purify all these instruments that we do use, like the drum, the eagle whistle, things like that. So that's a big part of the ceremony, and that's what we try to teach the kids. that what Mother Earth has to offer to us. She takes care of us, so we have to respect her. Take care of her and all that she does.
And one of the aspects of going into the sweat lodge is you return into the womb of Mother Earth. And when he says he brings in rocks, he brings in some hot rocks. And last sweat we had was Saturday, and it was all young men. I was the only female because I'm a singer. I was burning. I couldn't even move my hands. But what they do is they cleanse you from the inside. So when you come out of the sweat lodge, you're all purified from everything in your life. And you start, and that's what it's coming out of darkness, opening the door. You're into the light with newness, and you renew. I've been renewing since I was 23 and I'm 55. I shouldn't be so brand new. That's why he nabbed me.
They always say that it's hard for an Indian to pray because we know, like when we do the sweat lodge, you got to go out and cut your wood, you got to go way out to the Wichita Mountains, pick up your rocks, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do all these things. Sometimes you got to dig them out of the ground. Just get it ready. It takes a good 3 or 4 hours. You prepare before the ceremony, you do the ceremony, and then the preparation, and then you finish up and you with a meal after the ceremony as well. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of work to do these things. This first song is what they call the White Buffalo song. This is what helps our young children today all over the world. And we always pray for all the children. We always pray for the generations to come. Way These songs, they were given to me about 17 years ago by this medicine woman from my wife's reservation. She was a Blackfeet, and it was her helpers that told me how to build my lodge that I run now, how many willows to use, how many rocks to get. And so I try to follow that way now, today, and since that time. And these songs, they all have a spirit to the White Buffalo that came. This next one is the horse spirit song. And it's not so much the spirit of these horses that we have on this earth, but it's those thunder beings, those spirits, those horses that run across the clouds when it's thunderstorming, and you hear the lightning, or you hear the thunder, and you see the lightning. Sometimes, and I'll share this with you, in the lodge, we use different rattles made out of rawhide, and those rattles light up like thunder. They spark. I can't explain it. I just know that it happens, and the kids see it, and the kids keep coming back, and they know that it's something good. And it's the same color as the lightning I see that comes across the skies here.
Well, one of the good things that the kids who keep coming back and coming back, they have actually vowed that they will be drug and alcohol free. And in turn, they will get an eagle feather, and they go back into their home reservations. and they come back and they're drug and alcohol free. And so these young men, mostly young men, will also go back to their home reservations and make changes. So that's why I think Mr. White Wolf, I have to call him Mr. White Wolf because he's on campus and he's got the title. But these kids are so affected. I mean, you know, they want this from Mr. White Wolf so bad. It's just amazing.
It's the horse spirit song. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, ya, way, ya, way, ya, oh, way, way. Way, ya, way, ya, way, ya, oh, way, way. Way, ya, oh, way, way. Oh, way, way, oh, way, oh. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, ya, way, ya, way, ya, oh, way, way. Way, ya, way, ya, way, ya, oh, way, way. Way, ya, oh, way, way. Oh, way, way, oh, hey, oh. Those are horse spirit songs.
The thing about these songs is they're called vocabs, big word. We don't know what they mean, but the creator and the grandfathers, we call them grandfathers, they're like angels. They understand these songs, so we get the blessings from them. Every tribe has their own song.